Speaking of the new album, then, what about this track by the Eminem track, produced by Static Selector? What can you tell fans about that?
Just prepare to ride. That's all I'm gonna say about that. I'm not gonna get into it, because if the album was coming out on the 28th, maybe I would, but as we know, it was pushed back for international release on April 3rd. So that's definitely one of those things. You just got to get the record and check it out.
Now, speaking of Eminem, now as you've taken your break from releasing music, Eminem has been building his empire, and he's been signing many more artists, and people that I'm sure until he signed them you'd not actually met. So people like Yellow Wolf and all these sort of people, bringing them into his fold and making his empire. Now, what were your feelings like as he brought these artists in? Were you there to advise him as a friend about these artists? Were you there to encourage him to sign artists? So did you have no part in that whole thing with Shady Records?
No, I had no part in the process of him getting this new situation. Him and Paul Rosenberg, I'm sure they sat down and they discussed, that they want to keep the shady thing moving, and that's a good look. I think he did a great job on finding who, will take on the Shady legacy thing with him. So, it's a good look, and I'm happy for him for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the world is. Now, you took a break. We've said that a few times in the interview, but of course, one of your best friends did as well, Eminem. Now, in those times, when he was away from the game, uncharacteristically as well for himself to be away from the game, what role were you playing as a friend?
When he was going through a situation with his addiction?
Yeah, what did you have to do as his best friend? What did you have to do to help him and support him?
Well, I encouraged him to do what's best for him, and we talked about it, and it's just he had to do what's best for him, and I mean that's just you got to choose life over death, right? If you have that option. So I was just was there to encourage him to keep it moving, and that's basically it, and he did what he had to do, you know what I mean? I mean, the first Shady run, all of us, man, we was ridiculous with what we was just zany and crazy, you know what I mean? So, it was just a learning experience, and sometimes, you just gotta sit down, and that's what he did, and I'm glad he did that, because I'm still able to talk to him today and crack jokes and have a good time and talk in retrospect and get a lot of things out. So, I'm glad that he's here.
When was the last time you were with them? When was the last time you guys were hanging out?
I was with them probably a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, maybe 2 weeks ago.
Was this at the studio? I mean, was music in any way discussed? I mean, what did you guys do? What's a typical hangout session with Eminem and Obie like?
Just normal people talking, man. Just normal people enjoying each other's company, man. That's the homie.
With this being your third album, giving reference to alcohol in its title, I think it's safe to say you're a lover of beer. Everybody's heard the story again and again of how Eminem's battled his demons through an addiction to pills. And I ask what I'm about to ask with the most respect intended. Did you find yourself in your own battle with drinking becoming your own addiction? I mean, was it hard trying to find the balance making this album?
Well, drinking for me, I do it socially, you know what I'm saying? It's definitely not an everyday thing for me. Like back in the day, though, we partied hard. You know what I'm saying? Me and my crew and the people I was around, even Eminem. We used to go hard. That the picture with Eminem, that's my friend. We got many pictures. You know what I'm saying? I'm just letting everybody know that the music is coming, and because a lot of people be waiting on the album. So it was just one of those things where we released the picture, just to let everybody know that it's coming. And then the embracement, I really can't tell. On the embracement, it only got 10,000 followers on Twitter.
Wow, really, man? I thought you'd have many more than that.
No, man. Only got 10,000 followers on Twitter, man. So if this is a live radio broadcast, man, my name is @RealObieTrice on Twitter. @RealObieTrice on Twitter.